What is going on, everyone? So, on today's podcast, we're essentially doing a follow-up to all the stuff I didn't get to yesterday. A big segment about Phil's day off, discussing what my wife and I did, including some gaming, which I'm sure you guys will be excited for. Plus, I've got some updates on DSP Throwback that are positive. I've got some updates regarding the recent gifted memberships on this channel that may or may not be positive or negative. Plus, of course, all the usual antics and Q&A. All this and more on today's Level 1 podcast. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today is Saturday, the 13th of January, 2024. I'm literally doing a million things at once this morning, as usual. I apologize because earlier today, once again, second day in a row, I'm slacking. Although when I say I'm slacking, what I really mean is that I got so much going on that I'm forgetting to do stuff. I did not set up the streams ahead of time, meaning you couldn't sit here and get queued up and ready for today's show because there was no stream to do so in. That's on me. Basically, again, with all the stuff kind of going on, I forgot to do it last night. You know, last night, not only was I ending my stream, uploading videos, setting up the schedule, doing stuff for DSP Throwback, though slipped my mind that I didn't set up for the next day. The good news is, tomorrow, I'm absolutely going to set up ahead of time because tomorrow's my React show. And I always, set up the playlist and everything the night before. So absolutely, I will remember to do it tonight. And I have apologized. I even talked about this yesterday that I'm juggling so many things right now, both public and private, and being that, as Fed Roger literally just said in the chat, being a one-man show, being someone who is basically doing most of this myself, with the exception being the editors who are working on DSP Throwback behind the scenes, which I want to give a lot of credit. That's a lot of work to set up thumbnails, to do all this editing, the putting together of the videos, the upscaling, and all of that, Plus, thumbnails are being designed for DSPGaming as well. That's definitely, I want to give credit where credit is due there. That is a ton of work as well. But as for the public-facing side of all this stuff, it's all on me. And I'm one man, and I make mistakes, and again, I forgot. So I apologize the streams weren't set up. Now, obviously, we're live, and we can get started. I'm going to try to start remembering this week to set all this up every day, okay? So welcome to the show, everyone. It's Saturday. We're flipping over to the other games that I'm playing currently, including a full day of gameplay streaming with Resident Evil 00. Yes, that is not really a joke. It actually says that on the title screen of the game. Resident Evil 00 Remastered, and attempting to get unsoft-locked. What we're going to be doing is using the ability to leave that boss room and backtrack a bit so that I can get more ammo and hopefully be able to kill this bat boss that pretty much soft-locked me pretty badly last time around while we were playing. So hopefully we can get unstuck and continue on with the playthrough, because I guess the bat boss is around the halfway point of the game, and once you get past the bat boss, it's fun, still challenging. I do recall that Hunter's area coming up, which is probably in a few hours, where you have to face a whole room of Hunters, and the first time around, I had, no ammo or health to do it. It took me, an hour, but I got it done. So I don't know, we'll have to see how this goes this time, 8 years later. But hopefully we get past the bat today, see new stuff, and have fun with the playthrough. So, full day of gaming today, awesome, but everything else going on along the same time. New Red Dead video is available over on DSP Throwback this morning. It's part 2 of the playthrough. You guys really liked part 1 a couple days ago. I hope those who are interested in the Red Dead playthrough will head over to DSP Throwback, which is youtube.com/@DSP Throwback, and check out part 2 that just went live. And of course, once again, give me feedback. I actually think that the 60 frames per second upscaling for Red Dead Redemption looks really good. There's a little bit of ghosting, but for the most part, I actually think it looks significantly better than we were trying it on Final Fantasy 13. And I think the game looks amazing. I was like, whoa, that old ass playthrough, 14 years old, and it looked like shit when I recorded it with my camera, looks significantly better now with these improvements of the upscaling and the frames per second addition and all of that. So let me know what you think, okay? So real quick, what I'd like to do before we get to the Phil's Day Off segment, which is going to be me talking about what I did on my day off with my wife and stuff like that, which I think you're going to find interesting. What I would like to do is give you brief updates on everything going on around here, so that you're up to speed, and then we could get to the day off segment, okay? So first of all, let's talk about DSP Throwback. I launched it about a week ago. If you remember, it was a week ago on my day off, so a week ago Thursday. So today would technically be like day 8 of new content on that channel, okay? And by the way, the inclement weather continues. It's still freezing temperatures outside and strong whipping winds. So if you hear that, like you probably just heard my door move and the blinds move, there's nothing I can really do about that. It's that bad of weather over this weekend here in Seattle. Anyway, so DSP Throwback in its first week, all right, did pretty darn good. In fact, I would say that the channel did way better than I thought it would have done. I thought at most each video would get a few hundred views, maybe 1,000, okay? Pretty much way exceeded those expectations, you know? Like the first few parts of Final Fantasy all have over 1,000 views. Then they trail off, which is to be expected with any lengthy JRPG. Over time, more people will check them out, but everyone's going to watch the first few parts at least just for curiosity's sake, and then if you're actually interested in the game, you continue. Honestly, the beginning of the game is so boring that I'm not shocked that people who started watching were like, okay, I get it, it looks better, but this game sucks. I agree. I told everyone in my review of that game, it's 15 hours of boredom, and it only gets good around hour 15 to 20, which is really stupid that it takes that long in a 35-hour game to get good. So those videos did good, and then kind of trailed off in popularity. So now we've started with Red Dead, and part 1 of Red Dead did really good. As of this morning, I want to say around 1,500 views. I'm always conservative because I think it might have more than that, but I want to say it was around 1,500 for a couple of days being live. That's not bad, and I think more people will catch on. Oh, Red Dead started in the next few days, and give it a look. I don't know how the future parts will do. Honestly, to me, I've watched all of these parts of these playthroughs so far so that I could title them. And I'll tell you, the Red Dead playthrough, in my opinion, is way more interesting than the Final Fantasy playthrough. Like, Red Dead is a great game, great story, right off the bat. Interesting gameplay mechanics and things going on, and ample opportunities for me to have good commentary. So I think it's just a better playthrough. I definitely recommend you give it a look. So, as of this morning, I think I want to say it's like 8 parts of Final Fantasy 13 are live. It's either 7 or 8. And then 2 parts of Red Dead Redemption 1 are live, okay? Again, would love to hear your feedback. I actually started titling the videos differently on that channel, where I put a blurb first, like what's going on in the video, the part number, and then the name of the game, so that way you guys can know. That's basically what people told me is the modern way to title videos, okay? That's what people have said. They said everyone puts this little blurb of what's in the video first to hook you. And then if you're interested, you read the rest of the title and you figure out, oh, it's this part of this playthrough or whatever. Plus, again, if the thumbnail is good, then the thumbnail will tell you that information of what game it is or whatever anyway, right? So, I've begun all that stuff, and I have good news. The good news is, within 1 week of me uploading to that channel, all right, it is already qualified, or I should say, re-qualified to be partnered again with YouTube, okay? Now, the problem with that is that because YouTube has completely changed the entire process of partnership, okay, I have to go through this elaborate waiting process, meaning The channel qualified based on the number of video uploads, the number of views, stuff like that. But now you throw it in, and now YouTube literally tells you when you submit it, okay, for our criteria you qualified, give us a month. I'm not exaggerating. It actually says that on the screen. It says, give us about a month to get around to looking at your channel and approving it. I want you to think about that for a second. A month, right? Anyway, Jade, I'm sorry to hear you're still not feeling good today. I hope you feel better. I understand if you're not in the chat today, but all of our well wishes and intentions are with you. Please get well soon, sir. Okay? All right. Jade was in the chat saying, once again, 2 days in a row, not feeling good. I hope you feel better, man. All right. So, yeah. So, in 1 week, I have requalified for the YouTube Partner Program, but it says it's going to take them a month to get to it. Now, will it actually take a month? I don't know. The good news here is I'm not in any rush. Okay? I'm not in any rush at all. If it takes them a month to even look at it, then it takes them a month to look at it. I told you the whole idea here. Excuse me, because my post-nasal drip is bothering me today. The whole idea here is to build up a body of work on that channel, right? Let's get 20 or more videos of Final Fantasy. Let's get 10 or more videos of Red Dead. Then, if I get approved for the partner program and I turn on ads, now ads will start running on all that content, and if someone starts watching, they can watch a ton of videos instead of 1 or 2, and then they run out of content to watch, right? In addition, I told you my future plans for that channel are, number 1, to possibly do kind of one-off retro streams where we'll have like a Q&A night where I'll head over there and talk about what it was like back in the day to be a YouTuber in the old days, how different YouTube used to be, how the channel formats were different, how the uploading process was different, how the community was different, because there was a whole community based on your channel page back then, how the comment system was interesting and the only way really to communicate with fans, because there was no chat like this, or social media wasn't as big back then. It was just a different climate and a totally different process, right? So I think a night like that, just having a throwback night, relaxing, could be fun. Or another idea I had is doing a stream where for like 2 hours, I do reacting to my old content. So imagine once Red Dead Redemption, the first 4 parts are live. Imagine if one night I just go on that channel, start a stream, hit play, and we watch Red Dead together. And I react to my old style of gameplay and commentary. I think that would be neat. I think that would be really fun. Because obviously I'm going to cringe at some of it, but a lot of this stuff is probably still pertinent. I want to comment on all those visual improvements and things that you're going to see. That'd be pretty neat. Okay? So I think that would be a good thing to do as content for that channel. And then long term, excuse me, stupid post-nasal drip. Long term, once enough is up there, like once, for example, Final Fantasy is up there and complete, once Red Dead is up there and complete, right? Once all those game playthroughs are done, now we could look to do other remastered playthroughs in the future that you guys want. In fact, we could even do polls where you could say, hey, do you know, back from the original Dark Side Phil channel, what are some of your favorite playthroughs that are over there that you'd like to see get a facelift? Go into 30-minute segments with thumbnails and a formal playlist with proper titling, with frame per second upgrades, with frame rate upgrade, or resolution upgrades and stuff like that, right? I think that would be great, right? So that's all long-term that we can work on for the rest of the year. And again, if this gets into the partner program, it means that it's not just me doing it for fan service, but maybe I can make a few extra bucks on the back end doing it, which would be nice, right? It would incentivize me to do a little bit more content over there rather than just the dry uploads, but instead maybe doing some other content on that channel. So let's see how it goes. I'm happy that I've requalified. All right, we'll see what happens, but it could take a while, you know, up to a month. I hope it doesn't take a month. I hope that it takes like maybe a week or 2. That'd be great. But it is what it is. And if it takes forever, it takes forever, right? And you know what? If it doesn't qualify for some oddball reason, it's not the end of the world. It would suck because obviously I want to make maybe a little bit of ad revenue on the videos, but I could still stream over there and do stuff. I mean, I've done streams before where, hey, if you like the stream, just tip me or something, right? I've done that. We did that on Twitch for a month 2.5 years ago when they kicked me out of the partner program for no valid reason. I actually streamed on there a whole other month, reliant basically on tips and not worrying about things like ad revenue and other contributions. So let's see what happens and go from there. All right. So all the news on DSP Throwback is good. I hope you'll check out the channel. I hope you'll comment and let me know what you think of these playthroughs and the improvements I've already done to the channel in the week it's been live. And hopefully be back in the partner program sooner rather than later. Okay? That's all the updates there. Now, an update on DSP Gaming. As you guys know, in the last week, this channel got a significant amount of support when it came to memberships. All right? On January 7th, someone named Nikita came onto this channel and gifted the community 200 memberships. That's amazing. But no one knows who Nikita is. Nikita didn't say a word in the chat. I don't recall Nikita ever communicating with anyone on this channel. It's just someone who came in and gifted this giant member bomb. And of course, people are very happy. A lot of people are using those memberships and getting the benefits, and that's excellent, right? The next day, January 8th, again, Nikita came onto this channel and gifted another 200 memberships. So that was 2 days in a row, 200 memberships. And FYI, for transparency purposes here on YouTube, the revenue per membership is between $2 to $2.50 per membership here on YouTube. Because the thing is, it's different dependent on the level, and it's different depending on each person, because each person on YouTube can price their memberships differently. But I keep my memberships cheap. I keep them, what is it, $3.99? That's the lowest you can do, I think, or close to the lowest. It's lower than what it was when I was on Twitch, which is $5 minimum. So because of that, I'll make like $2, maybe $2.50 per membership. I forget what the money is. It's usually something between there, okay? So right off the bat, again, being fully transparent here, if all of those counted, right, potentially you're talking about like a ton of extra money for this month, which would be great because, by the way, ad revenue this month is way down. There's no ads to go around on YouTube on January because in January, all the Christmas campaigns are over. So this would be a tremendous help to help the business keep going when all that behind-the-scenes revenue that normally I would make is gone for January. Usually it picks up around February, March again, but January historically is always the worst ad revenue month on YouTube, which is why you'll see a lot of content creators ease up on their content in January. They go crazy in like September, October, November, December, and then all of a sudden January, oh, I'm going on break, I'm going on vacation, I'm reducing my content. This is why, because the potential to make money is way less, okay? So, having those gifted memberships would help a ton this month. It really would. So, that was January 7th, January 8th. January 10th, okay, I was gifted another 100 memberships. This time around, this was from someone named Doody. Yes, Doody. And although people were like, oh, that might be the dude that your detractor, that guy Doody who streams you and stuff. I think that was just a jab. I don't think that person is really that person. I think what it was, someone was taking a jab at a detractor, right? So another 100 memberships. So you're talking now, within the last week, 500 gifted memberships to the channel, which is why we're at what we're at right now, okay? That's why we're at almost 1,100. Now, we were actually up to 1,170. That's the record. But what happened is, as you can see, in the last few days, almost no one has become a member or gifted a membership. Why? Because supposedly, I got 500 gifted members. So a lot of people are like, Phil's doing really good this month. There's no reason to do anything with the community or memberships because he's doing good, right? I know that's what it is. When you see my channel's numbers skyrocket out of nowhere within a week, you're like, oh, Phil's doing great, so now's not the time. I don't really need to help him out with gifted memberships. And listen, you're right. The community's doing great. A lot of people here who got gifted memberships are very happy right now because they're going to have these for the next month. You know, all these ongoing playthroughs, the new games coming out in a couple of weeks. They're going to be very happy to have that. And so you're going to see that. You're definitely going to see that, you know, in the chat, tons of people have memberships and are enjoying them, okay? But there's a catch here. And this is something that I've been tracking all week. And you might have heard this morning when the stream was running, before I started talking to you guys and started the podcast, you were hearing the link. That was me talking with YouTube support. Okay? Why am I talking with YouTube support? Well, because today is January 13th. Okay? It's 6 days after that initial membership bomb from Nikita. I haven't gotten any revenue from that at all. Okay? I've been tracking my revenue statistics because I was curious, you know, what would I make from all these gifted memberships? How much will this help the channel this month? And I keep going back, and it shows you got them. They count towards the channel, but then when you go to revenue statistics, it's zero for that. Zero. You made nothing. And I'm like, what? Like, why did I make nothing? It doesn't make sense. And it's not just the January 7th member bomb. It's also the January 8th member bomb. It's also the January 10th member bomb. So, like, basically, whatever these member bombs were done in a way that YouTube, for some reason, isn't automatically just calculating and counting that revenue immediately. Now, admittedly, this might be something that happens all the time, and I just don't track it. Because how often do I get a giant member bomb like that? Once in a blue moon, maybe a couple times a year, if that, right? So I don't usually just sit there looking at it, but it just so happens this month, because ad revenue has decreased a ton, things are down on the channel, and I was looking at, gee, how could I improve them? As you know, I'm doing all these things to try to improve the channel this month, improving titles, improved the thumbnails and things like that. And these gifted memberships are a godsend right now. Like, if they all count, if all 500 of these gifted memberships count, all right, hopefully this will make up for all that lost ad revenue, and I'll be very good off this month, which would be excellent, because usually in January it's not. Usually in January it's one of the worst months of the year because of it. So I'm ecstatic about that. I'm very happy you guys kept the memberships, right? You notice no one's been rescinded their membership or anything like that. You've all gotten them and you're keeping them, okay? But I find it very weird that we're almost a week, 6 days now after these memberships initially went through, supposedly, and I got nothing for it at all. Zero. So after having waited all week, all right, I'm like, I want to know what's going on. So this morning I went into YouTube chat with their support team. I laid it all out. I even gave them screenshots to show. I'll say, here's the chart showing they counted, but here's the revenue chart showing nothing. So what gives? So they're going to look into this, and they're supposed to get back to me. Okay? If their answer is, oh, it just takes a long time to process gifted memberships, then I'm going to be calm and I'm not going to worry. But if they come to me and they're like, oh, this is fraudulent, it's going to piss me off, because we're counting memberships that don't exist, and there's literally people who come to stream and they look, oh, maybe I'll help out Phil in the community today, right? But now they think I've gotten something that I didn't get, and that's not fair. That's not fair to me. That's not fair to anyone. That's bullshit, you know? But up to this point, never once in my entire time using YouTube, now almost 3 full-time years I've been streaming here, have I seen that be a problem. Like, I've never seen fraudulent memberships or fraudulent gifted memberships. I don't even know how that would work. To my knowledge, the moment that it goes through, it counts, right? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. And certainly this is not a big deal for you guys. This is a big deal for me. But understand why it's a big deal for me. You guys every day are coming to stream like, oh my God, Phil's doing exceptionally well here on this channel this month. This is cool. But in truth, I don't even know if I am. I could actually now be down this month because the ad revenue is low, and now no one is doing anything with memberships because they think I have a ton that maybe I don't even have, right? This sucks. I don't like having the control of my business not in you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like not having that control, because the way it's supposed to work is you make good content. You provide that content. People watch that content. They like it, and then they support it. But how do you know if the support is real? And the thing is, let's be honest here, this is not the first time people messed with me. You know what I'm saying? I've had entire strings of months where people have tipped, and then all those tips got charged back, kind of, oh, it was a fraudulent credit card, a bunch of fraudulent credit cards stolen off the black market, you know, and now all that stuff gets reversed, and that kills me. You know, that's some of the stuff you guys don't usually hear about, but I've had months where all of a sudden, from a 6-month span, there was someone who was tipping hundreds of dollars, and it's just gone like this overnight. It's like, well, now you got to deal with it. All your money's gone that was in your account. Wow. You know, what am I supposed to do about that? I didn't do anything wrong. And that happens all the time, you know? Remember when we had people coming in here years ago doing that kind of stuff? It was multiple people, too. If you remember, over the years, there's been multiple people who've done that kind of stuff. So, if anything, the YouTube side support has always been the support that always seemed like it was consistently dependable. Like, when you contribute with a super chat, or you contribute with a super sticker, or a super thanks, or a membership, or a gifted membership, that's always been revenue that I've relied on and has always stuck. This is the first time that in my memory, in the 3 years I've been a YouTuber here, full-time streaming, that I've seen something not count like this. And I'm like, there's got to be a reason, right? Is YouTube very suspicious of that large number of gifted memberships and they suspend them for weeks to make sure that they count? Will they actually just apply at the end of the month? In which case, that's great because I get paid next month for my performance this month, but I'd like to know that so I know how I'm doing this month. See, this is no exaggeration. With the way that YouTube works, sometimes you would do exactly the same amount of work, get the same amount or better performance, and get paid less. And that's nothing on me. That's on YouTube. YouTube does not get equivalent ads every month. You know, and again, in the holiday season, they get tons of ads, so you actually see your revenue increase. And then months like January, they can't get ads at all, and then your revenue decreases. Like, but wait a minute, but I went into this. Imagine if you were working, you're going to your job, and you're working the same 9 to 5 hours every day, and one month you get paid a good amount, and the next month you get paid half as much. You're like, wait, what? It's the same work. I don't understand. It's not anyone's fault. That's just how YouTube works because they can't get ads. So that's what I mean. Like, this kind of revenue with gifted memberships and stuff has always been a way to alleviate that stress for me and make it so that I'm not worried. And now I'm worried because I'm like, damn, if this counts, things are good. If it doesn't count, damn, things are actually slow this month. And now what do I do to make up for that? I don't know if I even can, you know? So I guess we're going to see what happens. And I did officially start, talked to them and said what is going on. And now they're supposed to get back to me. Now, I don't know officially how long it'll take them or when they'll get back to me, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they get back to me within a few days, and and hopefully this will all clear and everything will be fine. And if that's the case, I'm happy because you guys have been so supportive. And by the way, that's just those two people, Nikita and whoever Duty is, right? Thank you for that. But outside of that, you guys have been very supportive. I want you to understand something, that this has been a great month. So far, this first 2 weeks of the month, you guys, every stream, you guys are coming out, you're hanging out, you're engaging, you're supporting. This is not me by any means making any kind of complaints about any support I've received. It couldn't be further from the truth. You guys have been awesome. This has been an amazing, positive start to the year. And we're basically doing dead time stuff. Baldur's Gate 3 is not a brand new game, right? Resident Evil 0 Remastered certainly is not a brand new game. Sea of Stars is not a brand new game. All the games I'm playing are essentially filler content until new games start hitting. So the fact that I'm doing good with filler is great. That's a good sign that the channel is healthy and people are enjoying the content no matter what I play, and I'm happy for that, okay? And I'm grateful for that. Thank you for that. Okay. So, that's what's going on. DSP Throwback's doing good. Views are pretty good for what more than I expected. It's requalified for the partner program. I've applied. We just gotta wait now and wait for YouTube, and it might take a month. We'll see. As for DSP Gaming, everything right now is going pretty good, except we have no idea what's going on with these gifted memberships, and there's no way for me to really tell, right? There's just no way for me to tell what's going to happen with them. I just got to wait and see, and I've now officially contacted YouTube on that, and I hope that they will get back to me. So that's what's going on with that stuff, okay? Now let's talk about Phil's day off, because we had a really interesting day off this last Thursday, and basically the way I see it is this is a lot more interesting now, because as you know, Kat, my wife, has become a part of my content again, at least in some capacity. She appeared on my stream on Wednesday night for a family night Q&A session. It went really well for 2 hours. And now, because she appeared in my content again, everyone's interested in her, right? Everyone wants to know about her opinions on games and everything. So let's talk about my day off this last week, because I feel like it's an interesting segment to give you guys some perspective of what we were up to, okay? And in fact, let me change the color here. There you go. Cool. So, on our day off this week, it was on the fence whether or not we were going to go out and have like a big day out, or if we were going to stay home. But it just so happens that next week we have a loaded day with a lot to do. We have a lot of appointments and things lined up for next week. It's like our one day the month that we have a lot to do. So because of that, we decided that we were just going to kind of do another stay-at-home day this week. So that meant that I had to run out and do all the errands again, you know, grocery shopping, pet supplies. I had to return something at a store. I think, no, that was last week. So this week I just had to return something at a store. There was nothing to pick up. It wasn't a very crazy day, however, because we were scheduled to have inclement weather this weekend, very cold temperatures and the possibility of snow. People out there were freaking out. Now, I live in Washington State, all right? the vast majority of this state, this Seattle area where I live, we don't usually get freezing temperatures. It's a rarity. So for us to have the freezing temperatures and the threat of snow, some people are absolutely freaking out, and it's hilarious. You know, I come from Connecticut. Connecticut is a state on the east coast of the United States. Completely different situation. In Connecticut, we're so used to getting snow. My parents already have said they've had 2 to 3 snowstorms, and there's probably more on the way. That's just like a way of life over there. You're used to living in it. You're used to driving in it. You're used to shoveling it and moving it around and getting ice and sleet and all of that. Out here, it's a rarity. So out here, they hear, oh, we're going to have cold weather. Everyone's freaking out. There's people at the grocery store, and they're like stocking up on food like they're going to be stuck in their houses for 2 weeks. And I'm like, did you listen to the weather? At most, we're going to get a few inches of snow. This is not the end of the world. Like, what are they doing? They're completely freaking out about this out there. It's wild how they act. The other funny part is the way that they drive. Just because there's like snow coming down, they'll act like it's like acid rain. It's burning their car or something. It's like, it's snow. It's not a big deal. Just drive normally. Drive a little slower, a little more careful. Don't. It's like people out here do one of two things. They either drive insanely fast because they think if I drive faster through the snow, there's less driving in it, there's less risk, which is insanely stupid. You shouldn't be driving fast through snow. You're just going to slide all over and you're going to lose traction and get into an accident. Or they drive like 1 mile per hour. It's like, I better go real safe, you know? It's like they don't understand that just kind of being normal and being a little bit more careful and erring on the side of caution is the way to go. Instead, it's one extreme or the other. So it's like, it's hilarious because, so I'm getting my groceries and everything, and as I'm coming out of the grocery store with all the bags, it starts to snow. And it was actually kind of unique because the snow that came down was not fluffy. You know what it was like? Like Dippin' Dots. Seriously, you ever seen Dippin' Dots ice cream? It was like little super charred or super chilled balls of ice. And they just came out of the sky, and it wasn't like hard hail. It was like lighter, but it like went in my hair. And when I sat in the car, I looked, and it looked like I had like styrofoam balls or Dippin' Dots in my hair. I was like, what the? I got them out, and they were all hard. They were like hard ice dots. I was like, what the heck is that? I've rarely seen it come down like that. So anyway, the me going out stuff is very boring. There wasn't nothing too interesting to talk about there. What's interesting is the stuff that my wife and I did during the day off. First thing we did is we finished watching someone play Detroit Become Human. This is a game that we've been watching over the last week. And my wife really likes those games, the Quantic Dream kind of, narrative-based, choose-your-own-adventure style games. What sucks about it is, so we finished watching it, and she's like, wow, what other games did they make? And I said, they didn't make that many. They started off with Fahrenheit. Wasn't it like just called Fahrenheit, I think? I forget what the other name of it was, because it has 2 names, right? So they started off with, Indigo Prophecy, right? So they started off with that one, and that one's really rough around the edges. And I don't think that you'd be too interested in playing that one these days. Then they made Heavy Rain. Everyone knows Heavy Rain, but that's the thing. Like, everyone knows Heavy Rain. So to play it isn't that fun because you already know the plot. So you're not going to be surprised or shocked at anything going on in Heavy Rain because everyone knows that game. Then their next big one was Beyond Two Souls. And that was the one starring the young woman who has this tie to a supernatural entity. And it's unsure. Is it a ghost? Is it another personality? Like, what is it? You don't know. And it's got tons of supernatural vibes. It actually has Willem Dafoe in it, so it's got some really good acting and stuff in it that's really well done. And then their next one was Detroit Become Human, which was a ginormous hit. It sold tons, and now I believe they're working on 2 different projects, if I'm not mistaken. And this has been many years they've been working on these next 2 projects, right? Great games, right? So she's like, oh, well, can I play Beyond Two Souls? Maybe I should play it, because she doesn't know anything about the plot. She's never watched anyone play it. Let's figure it out. So we start looking. It's not on Xbox. They never ported it. And I was like, wow, in all these years, they never ported these games to Xbox. No, they didn't. Those games, I believe, are still only available on PlayStation. And that actually, I was surprised. I was like, I thought for sure by now, they would have, like, ported these all over the place. But they didn't. So they are available on PlayStation, but again, you still have to buy them, and it's not cheap either. I was like, oh man, like that kind of sucks that you'd have to. Yeah. First of all, we don't have the PS4 hooked up anymore. Like, we have it downstairs, but it's not hooked up. To hook it up, we'd have to unhook all the cables, hook it to the other one, get the internet going on it again, probably do a million updates on it. And the thing is, my wife likes playing everything on her Xbox Series S. in 2 weeks she's going to be playing, you know, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth on there. We don't want to have to keep swapping wires and stuff. So it's like, is it really worth it? So basically we were looking at it like, oh man, it would just be too much of a hassle. So we're actually debating possibly play or watching someone play it rather than have her play it. You know, possibly debating watching someone else's playthrough at some point. That may be one of the next things that we watch together. But anyway, she's like, well, what else should we do? And she went in and she was looking at some of the Game Pass games and she wasn't too impressed. And she went to the demo area and she actually realized, she's like, oh, there's a demo of Tekken 8. And I was like, yeah, so that came out like a week or two ago. And my viewers asked me to play it, but the thing was, it's just not a lot of content. From what I don't understand, it's like one stage of the story, and a little demo of their new mode, which I didn't even know anything about the new mode yet. I think it's called arcade mode or something like that. And then like a offline versus mode and training mode, and that's it. And I was like, so for me, that didn't make sense to play. It wasn't going to be entertaining, especially because it would kind of like not really add any content besides like maybe just seeing the game and see how it looks. But I mean, for the problem to understand, there's very few characters selectable too. I was like, well, I don't think that it would make sense for me to do it on my streams. But she's like, well, I want to check it out. I haven't played a fighting game in ages. The last fighting game she played was a Mortal Kombat years ago. And I said, I'll download it then. I was curious. I was like, let's see how it runs on the Series S, right? Because you know that it's going to run well on the Series X. But you're curious, how would Tekken run on the Series S, right? So she downloads the demo. It took a while. It was like 3 gigs or something like that, which is pretty big for a demo. So she downloads it. And we were right. It has like 3 modes. It has story, but apparently the story is only the first stage of the story of the game, which is good that they don't spoil that much of it. And then there's this new mode. I forget what it was actually called, but basically what it is, it's interesting. So you create an avatar that looks like a little chibi style character, like this. Like, no exaggeration, your character looks like this, a big-headed character with like a normal body, but you can create their character and how they look. Like, you can put clothes on them and stuff. So it's like, it's supposed to be like a virtual representation of you. Okay? So you get this little character, and this character goes into an arcade and just decides to start playing Tekken 8. I guess the story is that Tekken 8 has just dropped in arcades, and so everyone wants to play this game, and everyone's just starting to learn the game at a base level. So you actually meet other characters that look like you. You start talking to each other about, oh, I like the flashiness of the game. Oh, I like to dress my characters up. Oh, I prefer a grappler-style character. So each person has like their own personality, right? So then you start playing on the cabinets, and you actually fight different opponents who use different characters. Now, the game only has 4 characters in this demo. I think it's Paul Phoenix, Jin Kazama, Kazuya Mishima, and Nina Williams, okay? So, just only 4 types, and actually Jin and Kazuya are kind of similar. So, you can only use those 4, but you fight a bunch of characters, like, was he really standing like that? Why do I feel like he was standing differently? Hold on. Why do I feel like he was standing differently than that? You can see more of it. No, I'm wrong. I guess he was just like that. Okay. So. Yeah, so I think you can fight, like Zhao Yu, Lily, King, Panda, Jack. It's like Jack 2. That was like Jack 27 or something like that. Seriously, it's like the 100th Jack robot. You know, a million different enemies. You can fight a bunch of enemies, and it's fun because the enemies aren't good. You know, they're just kind of basic. So Kat has not played Tekken in a zillion years, okay? And she starts playing it. At first, she doesn't get it. And I was like, well, here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. So she starts getting it. Like, she starts learning basic combos, like 3-hit combos, juggles. She learned that there's a new move. I think it's called Heat, which is hilarious because that's what it was called in Yakuza. And the characters in this game look like Kazuma Kiryu, or I should say Kazuma Kiryu looks like Kazuya. Like, he's kind of based off of him. So there's this new attack called Heat where you press it and you get this move that's like an interrupt move, and it stops what the enemy's doing. And now you have a supercharged move. First of all, you have more damage during this time this meter is going down. So you want to do combos and stuff while the meter's there. Then before the meter expends or runs out, you want to hit, and then if you press the button again, you do like an auto combo for 3 or 4 hits. That does a good chunk of damage. So the goal is to not only use the heat activation to interrupt your opponent, but then get a combo at the end that does big damage, right? So we're both learning that, because I don't believe that wasn't even in Tekken 7. That's a new mechanic for Tekken 8, the heat mechanic. So we're learning that, and I was teaching her some basics of stuff. And of course, for a newcomer who doesn't play it, the thing she's having problems with are the double taps. Like, she can do single taps and diagonals, and she even was doing basic juggles. She couldn't do the double tap. She was really trying and just couldn't get the double tap moves to come out consistently. But that's something that comes with time and practice, right? So basically, she's playing, and she played with Kazuya and Jin, and she really liked Jin, Kazama. She was like, oh, I like this character. His look, his play style, and everything. And surprisingly enough, this is someone, okay, who does not play fighting games. She beat the entire arcade mode of the demo. She went through the whole thing. So it starts off that you're fighting everyone in the arcade, and you can play like 5 or 6 people, and you level up as you do, and then they do a simulated tournament, and you fight in this tournament, and she won. I couldn't believe it. I was like, now, was she doing complex techniques? No. And obviously this is easy. This is the beginning of this arcade simulation mode. But she did really well. And won. I couldn't believe she played for about an hour and beat the whole thing. I was like, wow, she had a blast. She loved it. Now, of course, there's going to be frustrating things. This is just her learning basics of a fighting game for the first time. You know, once you get more advanced and she starts seeing the ridiculous stuff that the fucking CPU will do. Even I get pissed. Like, she's like, gee, I wonder how the story mode is. I said, just so you know, the story mode will start off fine, and once you get to the end, it's like a nightmare. The final boss of Tekken is always bullshit. It cheats, and you have to take a million tries to try to beat this fucking thing, you know? So, but it was very fun, and I loved watching her play, and it was funny, because at first, when we booted up that mode, where you see the little chibi-looking character, she was like, this mode looks stupid. But as she played it, she was like, oh, so, like, this is probably the mode for me. Because story mode is going to be a narrative, where you're going to play as all the different characters, and then at the end, there's going to be a big boss, but it's really, like, the story of the game. She's like, I don't really care about the story of the game. I care way more about, like, learning the game and trying different characters and slowly playing against, you know, other opponents that get harder and harder as you go. And I was like, that's what it seems like this mode is. And this mode has never been in Tekken before. They've never had that mode. I was like, so this is something new they've added for people like my wife who aren't into fighting games, but it's a slow way to ease them in, get a little bit of a virtual story, you know, get some stuff, make your avatar look different, get some items, make your character look different in the game, you know, buy them with the in-game currency, customize your character to make them look special and stuff, so they're more catered towards you and your style. And I was like, wow, this is a really good idea. Like, this is actually great for a more casual player to get introduced into the series, right? So we finished, and then she's like, well, let's do the story. I was like, all right. I don't know how long the story mode is. So we played it, and it's only one fight. It's literally like 10 minutes of cinematics and like 3 minutes of fighting. It's Jin versus Kazuya. That's the whole intro. And all it is the intro of the game. It doesn't even really spoil the story of the game at all. It's just the intro. So she played it, and the thing is, it's like crazy amount of stages. It's like, first it's regular Jin versus regular Kazuya. Then it's regular Jin versus regular Kazuya again. Then it's like, you power up and become like Devil Jin, but then Kazuya powers up, becomes Devil Kazuya. Then there's like Ultimate Devil Jin against Ultimate Devil Kazuya, where now you press buttons and like flying in the air doing anime juggles and shit. And I was like, there's absolutely no way that that's going to be in the real game. That's story only. There's no way that you're doing a combo. You hit 3 hits and all of a sudden you're floating, you're shooting lasers across the whole screen, you're slamming each other like anime. I was like, that cannot be in the competitive gameplay. That's probably something they did creatively just for this mode. So basically, she beat it. It took a little bit, but she beat it. She lost a few times, but she beat it. And then at the end of it, I was like, so what do you think? And she was like, I love this. She's like, the thing is, this game has 32 characters. And even if a bunch of the characters she doesn't like, she's like, I bet I'm going to find at least a small amount of characters, like maybe 3 or 4 that I really like and that I want to learn. And since it has this arcade mode, what she can do is play the character through the arcade mode and level up and get better with that character. Now, if she ever decides to try to play the game online, she could. That's an option if she wants to. But because that arcade mode seems to be a full-fledged mode with all this content, it doesn't have to be something that she has to do. She could always just play the game offline, and it seems like there'd be a lot of content. And I was like, I was blown away. I was like, I didn't think she was going to like fighting games. And then this game seems to do it really well. And by the way, I should say this. Tekken 8 runs very well on the Series S. Like, really well. It was beautiful 60 frames the entire time. Okay? And the graphics look great. I don't know if they'll look any better on the Series X, but on the S, they looked gorgeous. And I was like, I don't see why anyone complains about the S. unless you really are demanding like higher than 1080p resolution. This game looked gorgeous. And so when she finished playing, and this was like over an hour that she played, I said, could I try, and just play with Paul Phoenix? He's a character I used to use. So I actually went into, player versus AI, and I just went all the way up to ultra difficult, like the hardest difficulty. And I still got it. I was kicking the computer's ass. I was doing juggle combos. I was doing all his command throws that I remember, all his little basic moves, counter punch with the fucking rushing fist and hammer fist into the combo, and, counter hit, juggle, jab, kick. I was doing it all. I still remember all the basics. Now it's just basics. This is not anything advanced or anything. Just a basic gameplay with Paul Phoenix, okay? But for the most part, it went really well. It felt smooth, and I was playing on pad, for the record. No, we don't have a joystick down there or anything. I was playing on pad, and it felt good. It felt smooth. The visuals are great. The thing is, for me to learn this game, there's going to be a couple things. Number one, heat moves are new, so I'm going to have to learn all how this heat move is implemented, if and how it can interrupt enemy attacks, when to properly time to get heat into a combo, stuff like that. And how much of a buff you get when you do heat, because it seems like that some characters have significantly increased damage. Like Jin, now I don't know if this was just like story mode, but when he activated heat, and then he did like a combo, his combo properties changed. I don't know if it was just visual effects on the screen, but it seemed like some of his combos actually changed when heat was enabled. So maybe every character has like 2 or 3 combos that change when heat's on. I don't know. I won't know till I get my hands on the game and I practice and I figure that out. But then, of course, what's going to get me, I know 100%, it's the fucking rage moves, which are the super moves in this game. In Tekken 7, that was my biggest problem, is that I wasn't used to these rage moves. And I didn't, Tekken never had super moves until Tekken 7. So I never expected people would do them, and everyone would do, like, wake up super, wake up rage. And I would fall for it every single time. I would fall for that shit. So... that's probably going to be my biggest problem. I'm going to fall for this new heat mechanic, and I'm going to fall for wake up rage super reversal. Every time it's going to hit me right in the face, I'm going to lose a million matches because of it. I'm calling it right now. But anyway, our time in Tekken 8 was good. The demo was a good representation of what the game's going to be. I had no clue that arcade mode existed. It seems like that's right up Kat's alley for something she would want to play. Obviously, I'm going to play through the narrative story mode, and I'm going to use characters, try them online, stuff like that. So it seems like it's a little bit of something for everyone who likes fighting games, and the graphics are great, and 32 selectable characters is absolutely outstanding for a launch roster for a fighting game. That's more than Mortal Kombat. That's more than Street Fighter 6. That shows they're trying to put a lot of effort into this game so you have content. The only concern I have is the online play. People who played the beta literally said the online play lags pretty bad, and that's not a good sign. Maybe it was just the beta didn't have enough good connections. I don't know, but that's not a good sign that people who played the beta were complaining about this online. So I guess we're going to find out, right, when it comes out in 2 weeks, or a little less than 2 weeks now. But what a shock, because so we played this demo together. I'm like, so what do you think? And she's like, yeah, I love it, and I might get it. I was like, what? Like, huh? I never in a million years thought that she would get a fighting game. And she's like, I might get this. This looks really good to me. So, originally she was thinking of Street Fighter 6. And admittedly, I still think that the World Tour mode of Street Fighter 6 is good. But I think that this game, the arcade mode, is a little better. Why? Because you're actually learning the real characters. When you're playing World Tour mode in Street Fighter 6, you're building your own character with your own custom moveset and stuff. But that's not a character that's viable in competitive play. When you play the arcade mode of Tekken 8, that is the real characters you're using. So that's kind of neat. So she's thinking she might get both Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Tekken 8, and then she'll have 2 games that she can alternate between, and that way she won't get burnt out on either one by only having like 1 game to play, right? There you go. So there you go. Yeah, that was our day. The only other thing, so because Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is coming out soon, we decided to order some Hawaiian food in honor of the game being in Hawaii. So we each got this like Hawaiian food combo, Hawaiian barbecue, where they do the slow cooked meats and stuff like that, and a little side of macaroni salad. It was really good. So that was our order in dinner for our day, and it was a good day off overall. We had a lot of fun. we absolutely had a lot of fun and really enjoyed our day off with us that pleasant surprise, you know, of Mortal Kombat, Tekken 8 being that good in the demo, and actually my wife getting excited for the game, thinking, wow, this might be something I want to buy and play. You know, that's pretty neat. So there you go. Yeah, I know. I'm shocked too, because I didn't think she would be interested in a fighting game. And just on a whim with nothing else to do, let's try this out. And she's like, oh my God, this is really good. And I was like, I kind of agree. I was surprised at the effort they put in. It seems like Bandai Namco looked directly at their competition, Street Fighter 6, and says, well, we want to compete. We want to actually directly compete with them. So let's put in other modes that people would like. And that's a good thing. You know, I've always said competition is a good thing. When you have direct competitors that are doing things better, you want to try to hang with them. You don't want to be left behind. And I feel like with Mortal Kombat 1, NetherRealm was not looking at their competition. They weren't seeing at how better those other games around them were. They didn't really care. They just wanted to pump out another installment of their same fighting game again, which they did, and it just wasn't that good. In this case, this game, Tekken 8, looks like they have put in significant effort to make the game a lot better because of their direct competition, right? And I like that. So, it's good stuff, right? All right, before we continue on, because what we're going to do now is just quickly the schedule, and then we're going to do shout-outs and Q&A. I just got to run to the restroom for a sec. I'll be right back, okay? I'll literally be right back in a minute. Full disclosure, I had an annoying cuticle on one of my fingers that was sticking out, and it was poking things. And I was like, this is frustrating. Yesterday, I had a hangnail. It was a catch in my nail, and it went off, and it caught on my cloth here. So I had to go cut that during the stream. And now I'm sitting here, and I got a freaking cuticle that was coming off. And I was like, I got to do this now. If I don't, this will literally bother me all stream long. And I was fucking with it here, trying to tell you a story. I'm like, I got to do this now, or I'll be staring at this the whole time. So I just went, bloop, clipped it, and got out of there. Okay. So schedule-wise, what's going on for the rest of the week? Let's talk. Today, Resident Evil 0 Remastered. Let's beat this bat boss by backtracking and getting more ammo, and hopefully beating it with more grenade rounds this time around. I'm just going to unload. I'm going to unload the acid rounds. I'm going to unload the flame rounds. I'm just going to blow this thing to hell, and hopefully we'll beat it within a few tries, okay? So that's that. Then, tonight, Sea of Stars continues on the late stream. I know many people have been enjoying that playthrough who like the more chill late night streams. We haven't had a chance to get back to the game in a while. We're finally starting it consistently tonight, and it will be a consistent playthrough moving forward. So no worries, Sea of Stars will be played a lot more now starting tonight. Tomorrow is React Day. DSP versus the Internet on my channel, DSP React. Hope you guys will join me for that. It's a fun show, and you know, should be a good one. Last week, actually, the show was really good with the stuff you guys suggested for clips, so hopefully it remains a good show. Sunday night, I've decided I'm going to do a one-off late-night stream of Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. Now, we haven't done this in weeks, right? But we have a night where we can randomly just do something for variety, and, you know, the game is fun to just jump into and mess around with. So I think we will. I think we'll just mess around and have some fun with it and see if I can get some kill streaks or whatever, and some silly fun, some melee kills, whatever. That way it's not so serious. We're not playing it too much, but just something to break up the content. Monday, Baldur's Gate 3 on the first stream. Hold on. Sea of Stars on the late stream. That's right. Tuesday, Resident Evil 0 Remastered. And then Street Fighter 6 Zangief returns on Tuesday night. Okay? Then on Wednesday, more Baldur's Gate 3, and Wednesday night is up in the air. Here's what's going to happen on Wednesday night. If my wife, Kat, feels like she wants to come back to a stream and hang out with us and do some Q&A, we'll do that Wednesday night. If not, if she feels like, it's too soon, don't want to do it, then we won't, and we'll do more Sea of Stars. And then probably we'll hold off, and maybe it'll be the week after that we'll have a next stream appearance for her. I'm going to leave it totally in her control. if she feels like coming on stream again to hang out with us on Wednesday night, the door is open. Like I said, I have an open door policy. It's always been that way. So if she feels like she wants to come back and hang out, that she could come back and hang out. But if not, then it'll be more Sea of Stars. Okay? Thursday I'm off, and the next week again is the last full week of content before new releases hit. So it's going to be Baldur's Gate 3 and Resident Evil 0 Remastered, with the hope that I can maybe finish Resident Evil 0 Remastered by the end of next week. And then night streams, the final last hurrah for Street Fighter 6. Last couple of streams of that, as well as more Sea of Stars. And again, you know, if my wife wants to come hang out with us. All right, so that's really what we're looking at. And then on the 26th is when there's the double new release. You got Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth paired with Tekken 8. And then that's going to be fun, because likely what I'll do is maybe do some alternation where perhaps, you know, we start off with the story of Tekken 8, but then we'll take a character and take them online and or in training mode and try them online a little bit. Like Paul Phoenix, I know the basics. I just need to learn more, you know, complicated stuff with him. He's probably the first character I'll use and go online and see what I can pull off with basics and try to learn the more advanced moves like the Rage move and stuff like that. So we'll see with that. And then, you know, also there's potential to check out the other content as well, but I'll probably balance. When you think about it with Tekken, there's two modes. There's the story mode, and there's trying characters in training and going online with them and messing around trying to get better. So I kind of feel like there's two aspects to the game. So that'll be fun. And by the way, yes, Baldur's Gate 3 will then basically be kind of demoted, and will end up being maybe the night streams will then be like Baldur's Gate 3 and Sea of Stars, and the day streams will be Tekken and Like a Dragon, and we'll kind of alternate back and forth with content. We'll see. We'll see what we want to do. All right? Cool. So thank you all for listening, and hopefully I have updates on many things for you soon. Hopefully with the partnership of DSP Throwback, maybe that'll go through. Hopefully I'll have an update on these gifted memberships to confirm or deny whether or not they're going to count towards the channel. Thank you for your support. As you know, this month has been a great one for members. If they count, if they don't, well then, right? What can I say? Please consider supporting the channel today if you enjoy the content. This is how I make my living, for sure. I don't get sponsorships or partnerships. I don't have paid promotions. I don't have a referral code that you click on and I make money. I don't get paid to play any particular game. It's all on me making content, you enjoying it, and supporting it yourself. So please consider doing that. Some of the ways you can do that are becoming a member or gifting memberships to the community, super chats or super stickers, or tips. Every stream, I usually have a goal. Today's goal is by the end of both of today's streams, I'd like to hit 1,110 members, which would mean 13 today. That would be a great goal to hit. And I try to hit the tier 1 tips goal every stream. So please consider maybe tipping today if you'd love to support the content. Okay? Cool. Let's now get to shout-outs, shall we? We start off today with Guitar Player 1939, who re-upped his membership for a whopping 31 months of support. Thank you so much, Guitar Player. I appreciate that. It's good to have you here today. Also, Cypress, popping 18 months of support here on the chat and saying, great last month of content. This has been a great start to 2024. I agree. And typically, a lot of the times earlier in the year, it's not so good because it's very slow. But I think because Baldur's Gate 3 and Sea of Stars were great games from last year that I missed, and combining that with some retro stuff, it's been working well. And of course, the whole launch of DSP Throwback has been a refreshing breath of fresh air for people who like the classic content. So I think it's been working on all levels, and I'm happy for that. So thank you, Cypress, for your support. Okay. I received a, let's see here. Hold on. I received a $7.16 tip. Now, this person did not give a name, so I'm just going to say anonymous, okay? They have a very lengthy message, so I'm going to read it out, and I'm curious to see what they have to say and respond to it. So hold on. Thank you to the anonymous $7.16 tipper. I'm going to assume that's international, and that's why it's such an odd amount. Cool. So, they said, I'm paying my respects. I used to be a part of your community about 15 years ago. Being aware of the intense hatred is a lot, so thank you so much for your simpler times back then. For some simple childhood nostalgia, when I couldn't contribute, and ideas on how to deal with it in the present time. Some advice I give out is to look at life with a less critical lens on the environment, nor a deterministic outlook of the freedoms that you have, but I know not your current beliefs. I have no idea if that's a reference to something, because the way that it's worded, it's a very wordy way to say that. Do you not think so? No, what I would agree with here is definitely back when I started on YouTube, everything was simpler. Literally everything was simpler. There wasn't mass hate against anyone. On YouTube, there was no mass hate against anyone. There was no mass drama on YouTube back then. It didn't exist. Everyone was just happy to see someone uploading content for free. And everyone had like this positive community following their content. And people just grateful for free content to watch. And, you know, it was so different back then. Today, it's like everything is micro-analyzed and ripped apart. And everything's overly critical. And everyone's a critic. And everyone's a drama queen. And it was nothing like that when I started on YouTube 15 years ago. It was a completely different atmosphere. To be honest, I don't know if I ever would have uploaded to YouTube if it were today, like it is today, and I was starting. I don't know if I would want to dip my foot into that pool. You know what I mean? But now I'm in it, and I've been in it for over 15 years. So thank you so much. I appreciate that tip. Good sentiment as well. I'm glad that you enjoyed my content back then. I appreciate you supporting it today. Let's see here. I received a $1.10 tip. What's up, Phil? If you're able to read your email regarding my unbanned and Street Fighter 6 tips, please do. Keep up the great work. I definitely got an email or two in the last day about unbanning, and I know I unbanned one person. I know that for a fact, but I don't know if it was you at all. So, plus you don't have your name in the tip. So now I really don't know. What I would say is, if you're here and you're noticing you still can't talk, email me again. darksidephil@hotmail.com. Say, hey, I think I might have been banned, and here's the URL of my YouTube channel, and then I will try to unban you later today, okay? I can't promise that. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I've unbanned you or not, but I appreciate the tip and the support. I received a $5 tip from Dan the Man. Dan, it's good to have you here today. How is it going, Dan? I hope you're doing well. And, I thank you for hanging out and chilling. Oh, by the way, something I forgot about. Remember yesterday I told you guys YouTube was having issues? Oh, yeah, YouTube was having issues. They publicly acknowledged it in a rare move, because they almost never do. They publicly came out and said, yeah, the whole site's messed up. Mobile app isn't working right. The loading of pages isn't working right. And still, like, for example, me trying to get the music to play this morning still was not loading properly. Like, right now, I'm not even shitting you. I'm staring at a page half loaded with the song that was playing. It's just, it's wonky. Like, they screwed some code up or something. So apologies to those using YouTube if it looks crappy today, if things aren't loading, if things are being messy. It's on their side. They've outright admitted it. They even posted it on, like, at the dashboard of everyone's page. It says right on there, oh, yeah, publicly acknowledged that things are messed up. So hopefully things get better today. Keep in mind, yesterday, I couldn't even get all the videos uploaded. When I finished my stream of Baldur's Gate 3, I queued the 3 gameplay videos and the podcast up to upload. I went and had dinner with my wife. I came back for Friday Night Fights. Nothing was finished. I was like, huh? What the hell's taking so long? My internet's fine. As you can see, the stream's beautiful. It's them. Their servers are effed up. Everything's messed up right now. So hopefully they fix it. All right, continuing on. I received a $25 tip from 1 Minute Man. He says, if there's no grenade launcher ammo in the church save room, I don't think there is. You have to load a previous save and bring the launcher ammo to the church? No, I don't. I can leave the church. I know this for a fact because 8 years ago, I did this too. When the bat shows up, you can run to the door and run out the door. The door doesn't auto-lock as long as you left your teammate outside. So I can run out the door, go back to the conference room, and in the conference room, I know there's a regular grenade round and 2 acid rounds. So I can go back and grab like 4 to 5 grenade rounds and use those on the boss, and then if it's still not dead, swap to the shotgun and try to finish it. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Now, also, don't send Billy back and forth for nothing. Don't send Billy back and forth for nothing. Not sure what that means. So, in my original run, I'm gonna talk about this when we boot it up. In my original run, I had Billy fighting the bat, not Rebecca. By luck, Billy had full health. So that's just luck. That's different. And Billy had all grenade launcher rounds. It still took me like an hour to beat the bat. No exaggeration. It was like multiple videos for me to beat the bat back in 2016. But I was just in a better situation. Like, I had more ammo, more health. And it was luck because I didn't know. So I was just lucky. This time around, I'm just in a bad situation with bad luck. But I think I'll be fine. Once the bat spawns, you can still run out the chapel door or whatever. And now I'll be able to go grab the grenade rounds. The only bummer is, I don't think I'm going to do it on the first try. It's going to take a few tries. And I'm going to have to keep doing that backtracking over and over in order to do it, unless I waste an ink ribbon. Because I could end up wasting an ink ribbon, and then I haven't, that's just reloading from there and doing it. But then I have no save ribbons at all. And I don't know when I'm going to get more. So I don't think it's really worth it to waste an ink ribbon there, right? So this will be interesting to see how long it takes for sure. It could take a bit. Thank you very much, 1 Minute Man, for the very generous tip. And, of course, for all of your support every single day. I really appreciate that. Dr. Oink did a couple of super chats. First, a $5 super chat. He says, I made it to the end of Act 2 in Baldur's Gate. I'm sorry, the game is boring as shit. As always, hugs and kisses, yours truly. Then he did another super chat. He says, deleted my saves and the game. This is a waste of time. Wow. So Dr. Oink played all the way to the end of Act 2 Baldur's Gate, hates it, and deleted the game. Wow. Well, thank you, Dr. Oink, for the super chats. Definitely people in the chat are disagreeing with you right now. They're very upset with you. They're like, wow, you completely, what a horrible take. He's off base. He's a jerk. Wow. I don't think anyone called you a jerk. No one called you a jerk, but I'm just saying, people disagree with you for sure. And Korg. I believe Korg became a member this morning. Hold on. Yes, that is a fresh new membership from Korg. Thank you to Korg. So that's our first membership of the day. That gets us up to 1,098 members. Thank you so very much. Again, now we have 12 to go to hit my daily goal that I'd like to hit by the end of both of today's streams. So please consider becoming a member today if you would like to support the channel. All right. Yeah. So we're good. And I did all the shout outs. So we have a little bit of extra time. If anyone would like to do some Q&A, please tag me in the chat. And let's see what you guys want to talk about this morning before we jump back into trying to unsoft lock myself in Resident Evil 0. And I'm considering doing co-op for Suicide Squad or going solo? No. First of all, I don't even know if I'm playing Suicide Squad. As you've even seen, all the people who've gotten the hands-on access to it hate it. They're like, wow, this game really is legit boring. It's just not good. They shouldn't have done this game. Kat has zero interest in it. Like, zero. She doesn't like those kind of games to begin with. She doesn't like the superhero games. She would not want to play that, okay? As for anyone else, again, since I'm not really sold on it, no, I'm not really planning a co-op playthrough. So it's basically, if I buy it or not is completely up in the air, and I'm leaning more towards not. I don't think it's going to be worth it. What a shame, because let me put it this way. When the Arkham trilogy finished, even though you could argue that Arkham Knight wasn't as good as we had all hoped as an end to the trilogy, do you think any of us could have predicted in 2015, right, that we would be here 9 years later and most people would be saying, wow, I'm just going to skip the next game from Rocksteady? Right? Like, I don't think my thoughts would have been further from that. And now here we are 9 years later, and it's like, this is just so weird, right? So there you go. All right. No, I'm not doing a tier list with fans. I'm not doing that. Who's my favorite Tekken character to use? I've always used Paul Phoenix, King, and Lei Wulong. Those are the three characters I use the most. Now, I've used other characters over the years like Wang, Jack, Yoshimitsu. Lily. Lily was the character I used most in Tekken 7, right? So there's like 4 or 5 other characters I've used over the years as well. But for the most part, it's usually those other characters because they're the ones that have been with me since like the beginning of Tekken. So, okay. Fed Rogers says, I expect it to release on Game Pass or PS Plus in less than a year. You very well may be correct. Would I ever consider a redemption run of the original Resident Evil 3? Yes. It's been a million years since I played it. That first run, apparently I played poorly, and everyone says I saved too much. Because I didn't know what I was doing, and that's why I had no ink ribbons for the rest of the game. Yes, I would consider replaying that game at some point, but it'd actually have to be a way to play it. I don't think there is right now, right? Original Resident Evil 3 is only PS1 emulated. Unless, is it on like one of the premium PlayStation services at this point yet? Because it wasn't when I tried those like a year and a half ago. That doesn't mean that they might not have added it. But right now, I think the only way to play it is on PS3, and I don't have a working PS3. So I don't think I would have access to it. Yeah, but I would replay that one for sure, yes. Dr. Oink did another super chat. Tedious, boring, repetitive combat sucks, you know. Wow, Dr. Oink is really slamming Baldur's Gate 3 this morning. Thank you for the super chat. Mega Ultra Pepe. So what's the best Tekken game you've ever played? Oh, man, that's a tough question. You know, back in the day, Tekken 3 was like the ultimate home game. It had tons of characters. It had great graphics on the PS1. For the time, for sure. It had tons of content. Amazing soundtrack. Like, it basically, like, hit it on all cylinders back then. For a home console game, it blew everything away. There's other Tekkens. Like, I remember having Tekken 4 or 5. I can't remember which one it was. On PS2, and I had this really nice flat screen Sony monitor. Back when flat screens were just becoming popular, I had a Sony monitor that was like super darks and stuff. It looked beautiful, and I played it on there, and I remember that stage where like all the stuff is blowing in the background. I don't know if it's like supposed to be like flowers or wheat or whatever, and the moon is out. It's like dun 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 dun. Dun 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 bum bum, whatever that stage is. I remember playing it on that Sony monitor, and it looked so fucking gorgeous. Like, it was like the best home console game I'd ever seen at the time. I was like, amazing for a console to look that good on that monitor. It blew me away. So I don't know what the hell stage that was. I think that was Tekken 4 or 5. I can't remember which one. But it was super duper good looking. But I would say, for me playing them back in the day, probably 3. Probably 3. Okay. Was it Tekken 5? Again, I can't remember. I received a very generous tip this morning. A $20 tip from Mark in the UK. I've been looking forward to Resident Evil 0 playthrough. Been listening to Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf all week. Best of luck. By the way, Alan Wake 2 now is a new game plus with a new ending. It may be worth going back to it in the future. From what I'm to understand, though, it's not truly a new ending. It's just like a cutscene, right? It's like replay the entire game just to get like a 2-minute new cutscene that doesn't necessarily actually have the game be much different. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, maybe one day I would go back and replay it. I don't know. Thank you for that. Euphoric Joker is saying it's only the games media that are crapping on Suicide Squad. Apparently, more casual players are playing it and liking it. Okay. But again, is it not just a looter shooter with Suicide Squad irreverence, which is kind of annoying? Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to play a looter shooter. I don't want to play Sunset Overdrive with Suicide Squad characters. I don't think that's interesting at all. I think the subject matter is crappy and overblown and just not interesting. And then on top of that, I think the gameplay style is inferior to what they've already done, so it's hard for me to get into the game. Okay. Would I ever play classic Tekkens? I think those actually were on the PlayStation Premium service. So if ever you guys wanted to see me do like a retro fighting game event, we could do something like that. Hell, that could be a fun event for DSP Throwback, right? Where we do like a retro fighting game event and I go through like classic Tekkens and I beat their story modes on the hardest difficulty and stuff like that. Maybe. That'd be something interesting. Something to do. Okay. Oh, let's see here. There's something else someone had said. I missed it. Ah, forget it now. There's something else someone was saying. I wanted to answer it, but I missed it now. Okay. So someone is worried because they're saying that I guess the diffuser that we were using, we mentioned yesterday, I said it might have eucalyptus in it. And someone said eucalyptus can be dangerous to cats. I'll look into that. I appreciate you notifying us. I'm not exactly sure if the diffuser we have really has real eucalyptus in it, or if it... I was just reading that off. I don't even know if that's what it is. I was just guessing. Because it has that kind of like minty smell to it. And I think that's eucalyptus. But, alright, I'll look into it. We're not using it now anyway. We only used it for the one day. Like I said, my wife had turned on that diffuser for the first time in like years. And she turned it on. And I was like, wow, I could smell even upstairs. So I'll have to look into it. I'll have her look into it. I'll say, hey, before you turn that thing on again, look and make sure that's okay for Jasper. The thing is, here's the thing. And again, this is me asking. I have no clue. Is it bad for a cat to eat eucalyptus leaves, like the plant? Or is it bad for them to actually just smell the oil? Because this is an essential oil. So that's very different. It's just the essence of the oil smell versus the actual plant. I'm sure if they ate the plant, they'd probably get sick. But I don't know if the oil affects them that way. I'll have to look into it. Oh yeah, tons of things are toxic for cats. You got to be careful. That is why we never let Jasper eat human food unless it's like a very rare occasion. But so many people just give their pets human food. It's like, what are you doing? Pets are not supposed to be eating the same food that you eat. It's not prepared for them. It's not meant for their digestive system. You're going to get that pet fat, sick, or worse, right? So, okay. All right, Beyond Mystery, I appreciate you saying that. I will definitely look into it, you know. I appreciate the concern for Jasper Kitty, because I don't know, you know, if that is a concern, I will definitely address it. Don't worry. FizzGig, if you see negative videos about me in your feed, all you got to do is mark them off. What you do is you mark them off as, what is it? Like, don't show this again, or block content. There's a drop down. When there's a recommended video in your feed on YouTube, right? You click on the side of it. Here, if I'm over here. Okay, so let's say I'm here. Wow, I can't. YouTube's so bad I can't even scroll down on a fucking page right now. Jeez, YouTube is terrible today. So for example, let's say I wanted to block this video. There's like a fat Yoshi or something. I can't. It won't even load. Well, I wish I could tell you, but YouTube is running so poorly today. I can't even like hover over a video on the side of the screen. It won't even load the video so I could do it. It's so bad. Yeah, I know. It's supposed to be like... oh, okay. It finally loaded on one. So it's the three dots next to a video, and you click the three dots in your recommended feed. Oh, my God. Yeah, it won't load at all. This is pathetic. What did they do to their website? They ruined their business, man. They got to fix this shit. Here, if I hit refresh, it's going to play music for a second. Just bear with it. I'm going to mute it, and then I'm going to try to figure this out. It won't even load the fucking page at this point. It's so bad. All right, it's trying to load right now. Yikes. Oh my God. It's really chugging. It still hasn't loaded. It's trying to load this page fresh and just failing. Okay, so if you're looking at your recommended feed and you click on the three dots next to the name of a video, there's all these options. Add to queue, save to watch later, save to playlist, download, share, not interested, don't recommend channel, or report. All right? If you hit not interested, I think what happens is YouTube puts that into its algorithm that content isn't interesting to you, and it tries to remove similar content. If you hit don't recommend channel, you will literally never see that channel in your recommended feed again. So if there's a channel that's 100% constantly ragging on me and you think it's annoying, if you hit don't recommend channel, they should never show up again. Yeah, I would think if you just keep hitting don't recommend channel, after like a week of doing it, most of those channels will be gone. There's a few dozen of them, but it's just a bunch of fucking idiots, and there's not that many. It's not like 4,000 people spend their time making these videos. It's like you know, 10 to 20 of them who get views doing it and make money doing it. So they're the ones who regularly do it. And if you just hit all don't recommend, you probably won't see them after a few days, right? You could always try reporting. The thing is, YouTube really doesn't give a shit. If YouTube cared, they would have got rid of internet bullying 100 years ago, right? You would think if they legitimately cared about harassment of people on their site, they would have stopped this practice many, many years ago. You could always report those videos for bullying and stuff, but I don't think YouTube cares. I don't think they do a damn thing about it. I've never seen them do a thing about it. You know, I've seen outright videos doing awful things to people, and people have reported them. They don't do nothing. They just ignore it. So, good luck with that. I would say just don't recommend channel is probably your best option, and hopefully they just don't play that content for you ever again from that channel, and just do it enough times. Those channels won't show up in your feed anymore. So... That's the funny part, though, is if you're just here hanging out with me every day, you'll literally never see any of the stuff they talk about on those channels because it doesn't exist. It's always them over-exaggerating with giant hyperbole, giant over-emphasizing of something that happened for a moment, you know, on a stream, a 5-6 hour stream. Oh, look, here's 30 seconds of a 6-hour stream. Let's act like this was the entire content of the stream today. It's like, whatever. And the point, you know, people who are very weak-minded, they want to believe drama, so they will. Let those people sit there in their own circles and keep them off my content, right? Let's just have a good time together. I played Tomb Raider Remastered? Probably not. It didn't look so good. You know, it just didn't look that good to me. So I kind of ignored it. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. It's just better graphics, but it looks like the old games. Those old Tomb Raider games are incredibly frustrating and very outdated. You know, over the years, they made more modernized ones, but those original ones, they're classics for sure. Absolutely, I believe in, for posterity purposes, having the classics be accessible to a modern audience. So I'm not against this collection. I just don't think those are going to be very fun games to play. Like, I remember them from back in the day, what they were. I think they're going to be terrible, right? Exactly. Let's focus on positive content. Let's not talk about every negative piece of content that you guys see all over the internet. Just ignore the nonsense, okay? All right, guys. Last chance if anyone has a question or anything for me to throw it out there before we jump into some new stuff. So Euphoric Joker says, I bet your 2024 best games of the year will include Suicide Squad. Yeah, right. Right. Whatever you say. That's right. One Button Dash says, all the original Tomb Raiders were labyrinths, trying to figure out what way you run and jump to grab a ledge. Very annoying, not very fun. You're right, and basically what you need to do is, like, fill the enemies with bullets. So what you would do is try to find a stretch that you could run straight and just, like run backwards and keep firing. And just fill enemies with bullets and stuff. And that was it. That was the only way to kill enemies. I think she had a side flip. She had a side flip or a side jump and a run forward and run back. And that's all you would do is try to run and just keep filling the enemies with bullets until they went down. There was nothing complex about the combat. It was actually quite poor. I've shouted out every contribution I got here. So, if there was another contribution, I have not seen it. If you're saying that there was a contribution and maybe I didn't get the notification, let me know. But no, I've shouted everything out. It is freezing here in Washington. It is currently 20 degrees outside. It is cloudy. Luckily, no precipitation. But today is supposed to be the last day of temperatures this cold. Tomorrow will still be freezing, but not nearly as freezing. But then we go back up to warmer temperatures starting Monday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we start with rain. Like rain all week. So thankfully, the rain didn't come during the freezing temps, or we would have been like covered in snow and ice. Like seriously, it would have been all over the place. Yeah. Okay. All right. No, we didn't. I just told you we didn't have snow. We had these weird ice pellets were coming down that looked like little Dippin' Dots, and that lasted for like a half an hour, and it didn't really accumulate. We had like a dusting overnight that stuck to the grass, but nothing significant and no accumulation here. So, all right, everyone, it's time to end the show. I hope you enjoyed the Phil's Day Off segment today, because that was a little different. You know, talking about what my wife and I did together, and you know, the revelation that you know, Tekken 8 might be really good, not only for me, but for her as well, which is kind of neat. And I hope that you enjoyed all the updates. I hope you liked the show. Of course, always leave feedback. If you have any feedback on anything going on right now, I would absolutely love to receive it. Please leave it in the appropriate places, whether the comments section or in the chat or wherever. And thank you so very much. So tomorrow, I'm sure we'll be talking about the fate of if I unsoftlocked myself. Probably some Sea of Stars stuff. Maybe some news. I guess we'll see if there's anything in the game news medium. There's nothing today. But it's always a good time, right? So thank you all. I appreciate you all chilling here with me. And I will see you tomorrow for the Level 1 podcast. Peace out, everybody.